Hello and welcome to my lecture again. Today we shall be talking regarding child abuse. Let us see the introduction. Child abuse continues to be one of the primary threats to the child's emotional and social well-being globally. As students spend maximum time in school, teachers need to be trained to recognize physical and behavioral changes associated with abuse in order to confidently determine the cause and plan interventions appropriately. The inadequate knowledge and information it lead to gap in the crucial role of teachers in identification and early assistance of an abused child. Child abuse is a global issue and children face abuse in many forms, and more awareness will help in combating the issues and problems with abuse. The knowledge of the school teachers needs to be enhanced by conducting awareness program on child abuse. This is just the data that I have collected since from 2014 till 2018. These are the crime incidents that took place against children, and these are the rate that keeps on increasing. So we can see that from 2014 till 2018 there is an increase in the rate of the crime registered against the children. So what is abuse? Abuse it takes in many forms. It can be physical, sexual, emotional, verbal, and also neglect. Permitting harmful contact on the victim's body or verbally accusing the victim that will humiliate or bring shame to the victim. All abuse could result to serious consequences that will lead to mental illness or even death. So, what is the meaning of the child abuse then? Child abuse or child maltreatment is physical, sexual, or psychological maltreatment or neglect of a child or children, especially by a parent or a caregiver. Child abuse may include any act or failure to act by a parent or a caregiver that results in actual or potential harm to a child and can occur in a child's home or in the organization, schools, or communities the child interacts with. The term child abuse and child maltreatment are often used interchangeably, although some researchers make a distinction between them, treating child maltreatment as an umbrella term to cover neglect, exploitation, and trafficking. So, child maltreatment, we can say it may be regarding to neglect, exploitation, and the trafficking. So, what are the consequences of the child abuse? Psychological problems, social problems, and the serious problems. So let us see the psychological problem. The child will grow up in fear, possibility of having mental health problem, example depression, might act in a behavior that harms their body. Regarding the social problem, low self-esteem they will develop, low confidence at self or other people, and the serious problem, it may refer to the suicide and death, and there is a possibility that child abuse victim will grow up and abuse their own children. So an increased risk of the abuse becoming an abuser. So it is an abuse that the cycle goes on. So what causes this abuse? Parents who abuse their children usually have problems coping with the stress, and sometimes thinks that taking it out on the children is okay. Parents with anger issues or problems that will lead them to abuse their children. Parents, adults who uses physical punishment to discipline the children and crosses the borderline. And 60% of child abusers were once a victim. So the World Health Organization distinguishes four types of child maltreatment: physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional, psychological abuse, and the neglect. So these are the types of the child abuse: physical, sexual, emotional, and the neglect. Let us see the first one, the physical abuse. Physical abuse is basically anything that is done intentionally which will cause the child to have wounds and bruises. These are termed as the physical abuse. So it happens when one person intentionally does to another that cause physical pain. So this includes slapping, punching, or pinching, etc. It can be also caused by permitting harmful object to a child's body. Let us see the sexual abuse. When child is molested or raped, when a child is harmed sexually, when a child is touched inappropriately, and showing children pornography, encourage child to engage in prostitution. Let us see regarding the emotional abuse. Intentional verbal or behavioral acts that results in adverse emotional consequences as rejection, isolation, constant criticism, failure to provide a child with love and affection. It includes blaming, belittling, or rejecting a child, constantly treating siblings unequally, and a persistent lack of concern by the caretaker for the child's welfare. Let us see regarding neglect. It happens when parents or guardians fail to care for their own child, when they rather to be out working or clubbing than making sure that the child gets food on the table 3 times a day, when they totally ignore the child, failure to provide sufficient food, clothing, shelter, medical care, education, guidance, and supervision for a child. So it comes under the neglect. So why educators are concerned about child abuse and the neglect? They have close and consistent contact with children. Educators have a professional and legally mandated responsibility for reporting suspected maltreatment. While educators facilitate children's learning, children cannot learn effectively if their attention or energy is shaped by the conflict inherent in being maltreated. School personnel have a unique opportunity to advocate for children as well as provide programs and services that can help children and strengthen families. It is important to realize that a positive relationship with a supporting adult may enhance the resiliency of children who have been abused, are at risk for being abused, or live in a home where no maltreatment occurs but the family experiences other problems such as substance abuse. So preventing the child abuse. How we can prevent the child abuse? It may comes under the school-based program, school community program, and individual accent. Under school-based program, we have the life skills training, socializing skills, problem-solving and coping skills, and protection training. School and community program, training and staff development program, public awareness program, use of school facilities and the resources. And under individual action, we have the change in attitude or development of the positive attitude, love for the children, knowledge of the child psychology, and the individualized attention. Let us see under the school-based program, the life skills. Life skills have been defined as the abilities for adaptive and positive behavior that enable individuals to deal effectively with the demands and challenges of the everyday life, which has been defined by World Health Organization. Adaptive means that a person is flexible in approach and is able to adjust in different circumstances. And positive behavior implies that a person is forward-looking and even in difficult situations can find a ray of hope and opportunities to find solutions. So the 10 core life skills as laid down by the World Health Organizations are self-awareness, empathy, critical thinking, creative thinking, decision-making, problem-solving, interpersonal relationship, effective communication, coping with stress, and coping with the emotions. Means of the life skills education: class discussion, brainstorming, demonstration and guided practice, role play, audio and visual activities, example art, music, theater, dance, small groups, educational games and simulation, case studies, storytelling, and debate. These are the means through which we can develop the life skills education. And what are the effects of the life skill education? It lessens the violent behavior. It increases pro-social behavior. It decreases negative, self-destructive behavior. Increase the ability to plan ahead. Improve self-image, self-awareness, social and emotional adjustment. Increase acquisition of the knowledge. Improve classroom behavior. Gains in self-control and sociability. Better handling of interpersonal problems. Why is life education needed? Why do we have to give life skill education to the children or to the students? Because life skill education, it is so essential for the demand of the modern life: poor parenting, changing family structure, dysfunctional relationship, new understanding of young people's need, decline of religion, rapid socio-cultural change, etc. Life skill education initiative also equally important for the street children, sexually exploited, working children, and the orphans. So when young adolescents faced with problems in choosing a career or what subject to study, one is to be aware that it requires a lot of thinking and analyzing. In such a situation, life skill education teaches young people how to make decisions, help them to identify the challenge, and can evaluate whenever they need to make a decision. So what are the socializing skills? Research suggests that children need to learn how to get their needs met appropriately. Often maltreated children are not able to express their needs and ask for help. So learn how to express feelings, which enables children to separate these feelings from actions. They have to learn to take responsibility for their actions, and they also have to learn how to make decisions and solve the problems. So what can teachers do then? Children can be subjected to neglect, abuse, violence, and exploitation anyway. And there is some abuse that may happen inside the school premises as well, which while a lot of it is what children suffer at home and in non-school environment. A child in your class may be a victim of violence or abuse or exploitation that happens outside the school. So you cannot ignore it. Rather, you must help the child. So this too is possible only if you are able to identify that there is a problem and you spend time to understand it and explore possible solution. So always a teacher should remember that our duty to protect children does not come to an end once you are out of the school premises. The life of a child who is out of the school system can be changed with a positive intervention. So you just have to prepare yourself as a teacher for it and know more about the problem as well as what one can do to help those kind of children. So once you are mentally prepared and equipped to tackle the problem, you will be able to do many things you have never dreamed you are capable of. So let us see whether you are a child-friendly teacher or not. Understand children's rights as human rights and create such awareness in the community as well. Make children feel it is worthwhile attending your class. Be open to learning. Be a friend, philosopher, and guide to the child. Make the classes interesting and informative. Avoid one-way communication and give much opportunities to children to come up with their doubts and queries. Learn to recognize and identify abuse, neglect, learning disorders, and other not so visible disabilities as well. Create a relationship where children can express their views, concern, anguish, fear, etc. Try to engage with children in an informal discussions. Be a good listener. Share and discuss various issues and problems which children are facing either in school or be at home. Encourage children's participation in matters that affect their lives. Build children's capacities to participate effectively. Organize meetings of children with school authorities. Discuss child rights issues with their parents in the parents-teachers association meetings. Say no to corporal punishment. Use positive reinforcement techniques like dialogue and counseling to discipline children. Say no to discrimination. Take active steps to reach out to children from minority and other discriminated groups. Stop negative stereotyping and discrimination against working children, street children, child victims of sexual abuse, trafficking, domestic violence or drug abuse, and children in conflict with law, to name a few categories of those who need protection. Stop use of child labor in your home and the workplace as well. Be democratic but not unstructured. Ensure children are protected within the school as well as in the community, even if it requires calling the police and facilitating legal action. Encourage them to put forward their views before the adults and the community. Involve children in organizing events, give them responsibilities, and at the same time give them the required guidance as well. Take the children to nearby places for picnics and pleasure trips. Engage children in discussion, debates, quiz, and other recreational activities. Encourage education and participation of girls to creative measures within the classroom. Follow up on girls who drop out or attend irregularly to ensure it does not continue. All teachers can help in creating and strengthening a protective environment around children. Your observations are important, as they alone will help you to assess the growth and progress of a child in your class. If you see a problem, your next step should be to explore what could be the possible reason for that. Next question to yourself should be whether the child is under any pressure from family, relatives, or friends. Spend some time with the child privately without being imposing, humiliating, and creating an embarrassing situation for the child. Help the child express their problem either through drawing and painting or by writing a story or simply talking to you or the school counselor, social worker, or to a friend in the class. Let us see the constructive disciplinary practices under that. Respect the child's dignity, develop pro-social behavior, self-discipline, and the character, maximize the child's active participation, respect the child's developmental needs and quality of life, respect the child's motivational characteristics and life views, assure fairness and transformative justice, promote solidarity. And let us come to the concluding remarks regarding that. Whenever possible, the educator should boost on the child's positive performances. Reiterating the child's faults may reinforce the child's negative self-image and further the parent's view of the child as a disappointment. In contrast, emphasizing the child's assets will increase the child's self-confidence and indicate to the parent that the child is worthwhile, capable, and someone of whom to be proud. So the positive influence of an educator on the life of a child can be significant. So let us say children hear everything you say and they mimic everything you do. Give them a good example. Thank you.